if you're going to be traveling on vacation, any recommendations as far as, I think of two things as far as the amount of credit line that you carry on your card, and then also if you're going to be traveling on vacation, should you contact your credit card company? I'd hate to be, you know, especially if you're overseas and you go to swipe your card and all of a sudden it's denied and you don't have any cash in your pocket and you kind of get into a jam. Any suggestions there?
Sure. So certainly it's good to notify your credit card issuers if you're going to be traveling. Because like I said, different geographic activity, geographical use on your card is going to trigger some alarms, and they're going to take a look at it. If you give them advance notice, the analysts will tend to see that. They'll be less likely to shut down your card. Having said that, we do get lost and stolen cards while people are traveling, even if they have notified. And if there's suspicious activity on the card, they'll probably block it anyway until they can speak with you. As far as the credit card, I think you mentioned the credit card limits. I generally mention you probably don't want to play with that because increasing or lowering your credit card limit can actually affect your credit score negatively.
Oh, okay.
So it's better to just let it ride. And again, as a consumer, you're protected anyway.
All right, because I'd heard once that you want to have, like, if you're, say your normal monthly use of your credit card is, say, you know, maybe $2,000, but then you're planning on going on a trip where you're going to charge a lot, so you'd keep your credit line low, so that way somebody couldn't, if they got a hold of the card, they couldn't run the amount way up. But then, of course, you kind of answered my question as far as affecting somebody's credit history and that. How about checking your? They say that, I know a lot of you get credit reports free in that. How about checking your, any suggestions for checking your credit report or even monitoring the activity of your credit card? I know you can do that online now also.
Sure, so generally speaking, you want to check your credit report at least once a year, and you can do so free of charge by federal law. There's a website, annualcreditreport.com. On that website, you can check all 3 credit reporting agencies once per year, free of charge. That's a good practice to make sure no new credit accounts have been opened under your identity. Additionally, if you want to take it a step further and be a little bit more proactive, there are solutions out there that monitor your credit report on a daily basis, and changes to any of them will prompt a notification to you, such as via email. That can be a good practice as well if you want to take it one step further.
Okay. And how successful are the companies in actually apprehending or identifying people that are involved in taking people's numbers and making false charges and that? It seems like it's a pretty tough, with the internet and with you know, all the electronics. I think it'd be pretty hard to track people down.
Yeah, it's, to your point, it's hit and miss. It used to be when we had the street level credit card frauds, they were a little bit easier to investigate because they were primarily local. Towards the end of my stint in investigations, it was all credit card data breaches at merchants, global merchants, and you saw use everywhere, literally around the globe. And those are much harder to investigate. They're generally done at the federal level. We get a lot of, Eastern European hacking and so forth, and that credit card data is generally sold online on what we call the dark net. And so they're sold in forums. People credit card counterfeiters can buy that information and code counterfeit credit cards and use them anywhere in the world. So it can be very difficult. Yep.
All right. Anything new coming in the industry to try to, it seems like as soon as somebody comes up with a way to combat some crime activity going on, somebody else comes out with a new wrinkle to kind of make people victims. Is there anything, what's new in the industry? Is there anything you can fill our viewers in on what's happening? I heard about chips and credit cards and different things. What is kind of on the horizon here in the financial credit card industry? Sure,
and to your point, yes, it's very much a cat and mouse game, kind of a arms race, if you will. But basically, I'll mention 2 things there, and that's actually a very big question, and it kind of depends on which part of the industry you're talking about. What most people don't realize is that there are several players involved in each credit card transaction. There's the merchant credit card processor, which we call the acquirer. There is the payment brand, which is Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and so forth. And then there's the credit card issuer. So there's at least 3 entities involved in every transaction. And to make big changes, you got to have consensus and agreement between all parts, and that takes a lot of work. A couple things I'll mention is, one, you may have heard of PCI, or what we refer to as PCI. It's the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard. It's actually been around since about 2001. What that is the major payment brands, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, all agreed that they had to do something about credit card data security. and so they formed the PCI Security Standards Council, which is an independent body that maintains a data security framework. And every entity that handles credit card data is responsible for complying with that framework, and that's what helps stop merchant breaches and so forth. As you know, they happen a lot anyway. But that's one of the things that the industry has done. Secondly, you mentioned chip cards, what we refer to as EMV, or EuroPay, MasterCard, Visa. What that is instead of the MAG stripe on the back of your card, you've got a smart chip or a circuit chip on the card that the terminal reads. It's really on a new technology. It's actually about 15 years old. It started in Europe. And what it does is it helps cut down on counterfeit and lost stolen credit card use, because the physical card generally cannot be counterfeited, at least at this point in time it cannot. So it's going to cut down on that type of fraud. However, as we get more and more chip cards, what you're going to see is an increase in e-commerce fraud, because when you squeeze fraud in one section, it comes out somewhere else. So we're going to see that increase.
All right. Well, Doug, I'd like to thank you for joining me today. I found
You're
your
welcome.
information very interesting. Hopefully our viewers got a lot of good information from you, and thanks for taking time to join me today.
You're very welcome. Thank you, Jay.